Have you ever noticed that some people cannot simply experience a moment? A message arrives, a tone changes, someone pauses before answering, Hmm. a room becomes quiet, and immediately the mind begins working. Not gently, no, intensely. Hmm. What did that mean? What did they say it like that? Are they upset? Did I miss something? Mhm. Is something wrong? The event itself may be small, but the interpretation becomes enormous. A glance becomes evidence. A delay becomes evidence. A change in energy becomes evidence. A silence becomes evidence. And slowly life stops being lived. Hmm. Slowly life starts being decoded. Hmm. This is not a message about intuition. Hmm. This is not a message about intelligence. No. This is not even a message about being observant. This is a message about interpretation. And there is a difference, a costly one. Some minds do not rest. No, they translate. They translate tone into threat, silence into rejection, delay into distance, neutrality into hidden judgment, ambiguity into danger. A person begins living as though reality is a coded room where every expression has a hidden meaning, where every pause has a secret message, where every change in atmosphere must be solved before the body can relax. And the body waits. The body waits for certainty. The body waits for confirmation. Pardon. The body waits for the final interpretation that will make the moment safe. But the moment keeps moving, and the mind keeps searching, and that can be so exhausting. Not because life is dramatic, no, but because the nervous system has learned to treat ordinary reality as something that must be constantly examined before it can be trusted. Constant interpretation usually begins as protection, not vanity, no, not drama, not overthinking for entertainment, no, protection. A person learns early that atmosphere carries consequence. Perhaps the room had to be read. Perhaps moods changed quickly. Perhaps silence meant danger. Perhaps affection was inconsistent. Perhaps approval could be lost without warning. Perhaps the safest person was the one who noticed everything first. So, hmm. So the child becomes a reader of weather. Not the weather outside, though. No, no, no. The weather in faces, the weather in voices, the weather in footsteps, the weather in silence, the weather in the room. And often the strategy works. The child notices tension before it erupts. They adjust before conflict arrives. They sense withdrawal before it becomes rejection. So they become alert, prepared, useful, safe enough. And because the strategy works, the body becomes loyal to it. It learns things such as interpret first, relax later. Understand the room first, exist afterwards. Find the meaning first, then decide whether it is safe. The difficulty begins when the reader becomes trapped inside the reading. The environment may change. The danger may change. The people may change. But the internal system keeps operating as though every moment must be inspected for hidden consequence. So, what was once intelligence becomes a burden. What was once sensitivity becomes surveillance. What was once awareness becomes constant investigation. And eventually a person cannot tell whether they are perceiving truth or manufacturing threat from ambiguity. This is one of the signs when ambiguity becomes unbearable. A person struggles to let something be unknown. A person cannot simply say, I do not know yet. They must know now. They must interpret now. They must locate the hidden meaning now. The unknown becomes unsafe. And not because something has definitely happened, no. But because the nervous system has confused uncertainty with danger. And once that confusion takes root, ordinary life begins to feel like a field full of invisible alarms. You see, perception is not the problem. Sensitivity is not the problem. Awareness is not the problem. No. There is dignity in perception. There is wisdom in sensitivity. There is intelligence in awareness. But perception can become suspicious. And when it does, the person no longer receives life. They interrogate it. They no longer fill the room. They accuse it internally. They no longer notice energy. They search for betrayal inside it. Not every signal is warning. Not every shift is rejection. Not every silence is judgment. Not every delay is distance. Not every change in tone is evidence that something has gone wrong. Some things are simply incomplete. Some people are tired. Some replies are late. Some rooms are quiet. Some moments are neutral. Some energy is unclear because life is not always arranged for immediate interpretation. You see, constant interpretation has a cost. It costs presence. It costs ease. It costs intimacy. It costs rest. It costs the ability to let reality arrive without immediately turning it into a case file. You cannot rest inside what you are always analyzing. You cannot fully receive love while constantly inspecting it for withdrawal. You cannot fully inhabit friendship while searching for signs of hidden rejection. You cannot fully enter opportunity while scanning it for future betrayal. Analysis can become exile. Not because thought is bad, no. Thought is necessary. Discernment matters. Observation matters. But when analysis never ends, a person stands outside life trying to understand it instead of inhabiting it. Life becomes something to solve, not something to enter. A conversation becomes something to decode. A relationship becomes something to monitor. A silence becomes something to survive. A beautiful moment becomes suspicious because beauty has not yet been proven safe. And so the body lives under constant instruction. Watch, check, read, compare, remember, prepare. Do not relax too soon. Do not trust too quickly. Do not miss the sign. That is not peace. That is a nervous system working without sound. A body standing guard at the entrance of every moment. A mind convinced that safety depends on never missing the hidden meaning. And so the body keeps listening. Not only to what is said, but to what is not said, to what changed, to what paused, to what disappeared, to what may be coming next. Eventually, ordinary life becomes tiring. Not because the room is dangerous now, but because the body has forgotten how to enter a room without first preparing to survive to it. Constant interpretation can feel like control. If I understand enough, I will be safe. If I read the signs early, I will not be surprised. If I identify the shift, I can prepare. If I prepare, I will not be hurt. But control is not the same as safety. And interpretation is not the same as truth. Sometimes the mind does not discover what is real. No. It constructs an explanation that matches an old wound. An old wound can become an interpreter. It hears danger where there is ambiguity. It sees rejection where there is distance. It feels betrayal where there is uncertainty. And it calls all this discernment. But often it is just memory speaking before truth arrives. You see, memory is not always prophecy. What happened before does not automatically reveal what is happening now. The body may remember correctly, yes, but it may also apply an old map to a new country. There is a difference between signal and story. Signal is information. Story is interpretation. The signal says the tone changed. The story says they no longer care. The signal says the room became quiet. The story says I have done something wrong. The signal says they have not replied. The story says I am feeling abandoned. Oof. The signal may be true, yes. The story may very well not be. Discernment begins there. Not by dismissing what you perceive, not by insulting your sensitivity, no. Not by pretending energy does not matter, no. But by refusing to let the first interpretation be crowned as truth. Do not crown the first interpretation. Let it speak. Let it present itself. Let it reveal what it believes. But do not hand it the throne before reality has been allowed to give further evidence. You see, the unseen matters. Energy matters. Atmosphere matters. Vibration matters. Human beings do perceive more than what is spoken plainly. Yes. A room has a field. A person has a presence. A silence can carry meaning. Yeah. But the unseen requires discipline. Because without discipline, intuition becomes projection. Sensitivity becomes suspicion. Energy reading becomes fear wearing spiritual language. So remember this. Not every feeling is a fact. Not every sensation is a signal. Not every contraction is a warning. Not every discomfort is intuition. Sometimes the body is perceiving the present. Sometimes it is remembering the past. The work is distinction, because one needs to ask, what is actually happening? What am I sensing? What am I adding? What does this remind me of? Is this signal? Is this story? Is this memory? Or is this fear? That right there is sovereign perception, not cynicism, not naivety, not denial, not panic, no. A disciplined relationship with what is seen, what is felt, and what is not yet known. Some people cannot reality be innocent. Every moment must be suspicious until proven safe. Every person must be monitored until proven loyal. Every opportunity must be tested for hidden collapse. Every silence must be explained before peace is allowed. Well, allow me to say that this is not wisdom. This is fatigue. Because a tired system trying to prevent future pain by refusing to let the present remain simple. But a life where nothing can be simple becomes heavy very, very quickly. Simplicity becomes threatening. A kind word feels suspicious. A good season feels temporary. A calm relationship feels unfamiliar. An open door feels like a trap. A blessing arrives and the mind begins searching for the invoice hidden behind it. This is how protection becomes poverty. I'm not talking here about financial poverty. No. I'm talking about perceptual poverty. The inability to receive what is actually present because the mind is too busy defending against what might happen next. The exhaustion is not imaginary. No. It is very real. The tiredness of the conversations, the heaviness of the messages, the need to replay what happened constantly, the feeling of being unable to simply let the moment finish. Replay becomes a ritual. The mind returns to the scene over and over, adjusts the lighting, rehearses the tone. examines the words, rewrites the meaning, searches for the clue that will finally explain what the body has already decided to fear. The moment ends, yes, but the interpretation continues. And it continues for hours later, for days later, sometimes years later. A person can carry unfinished interpretations like invisible furniture inside the mind. There are people still living inside old rooms, old conversations, old silences, old expressions, old withdrawals, old uncertainties that were never resolved, so the nervous system keeps trying to solve them through present life. At some point, a person needs reality more than explanation. Not fantasy, not denial, reality. The ability to say, this is what happened. This is what I felt. This is what I do not yet know. And I will not torture myself to manufacture certainty. Saying, I do not know yet, can be sovereignty, yes. Not weakness, not blindness, not passivity, no. Sovereignty. Because the sovereign does not panic every time information is incomplete, no. The sovereign waits, and waits without surrendering commands. Incomplete information does not require inner collapse. A delayed reply does not require identity collapse. A strange tone does not require emotional trial. A quiet room does not require immediate accusation. A subtle shift does not require a full internal tribunal. So, let reality finish speaking. Because that sentence matters. So, let reality finish speaking. Not every moment has completed its sentence. Not every signal has revealed its meaning. Not every feeling knows what it is yet. Rest begins when interpretation loses its ground, not when perception disappears, not when sensitivity dies, not when intuition is silenced, no, but when interpretation is no longer allowed to govern without examination. You can notice without obeying. You can feel without concluding. You can sense without accusing. You can pause without collapsing. You can wait without abandoning yourself or attacking the moment. This is discipline. To remain awake without becoming suspicious. To remain sensitive without becoming ruled by alarm. To remain perceptive without turning life into an endless investigation. You are allowed to rest inside reality. Not because reality is always gentle. It is not. Not because every person is safe. They are not. Not because nothing will ever hurt. It may. But because constant interpretation does not prevent pain. Embodiment. Embodiment requires rest. Not only expression, not only courage, not only boundaries. Rest. The ability to inhabit the body without forcing it to become a surveillance instrument. The body is not only an alarm system, no. The body is also home, a temple, a compass, a vessel. A place where life is meant to be experienced, not merely inspected for danger. Interpretation has a place. It is useful. It can protect. It can reveal. It can help you understand patterns and make wiser decisions. But interpretation is not the throne. No. Interpretation is an advisor. And advisors become dangerous when they seize government. The advisor must not become king. The interpreter must not become sovereign. The nervous system must not be forced to explain every room before the soul is allowed to breathe. That is not orientation. No. That is captivity with language. Not every moment requires decoding. Not every silence requires prosecution. Not every shift requires fear. Not every feeling requires immediate conclusion. Some things require time. Some things require evidence. Some things require stillness. Some things require nothing more than being allowed to pass. Do not turn life into a courtroom. Do not make every person a suspect. Do not make every silence a confession. Do not make every uncertainty a sentence against you. Perception is powerful. Sensitivity is powerful. Energetic awareness is powerful. But power without governance becomes distortion. And distortion, repeated long enough, begins to feel like truth. Beware. This is where discernment begins. Not in suspicion, not in naivety, not in fear dressed as intuition, no. But in the disciplined ability to separate signal from story, memory from prophecy, energy from projection, and wisdom from alarm. And for those who require positioning beyond what is shared here, there are forms of work not conducted in public. Access exists. Remember this. You do not need to decode everything to be safe. You do not need to solve every silence to remain sovereign. You do not need to interpret every shift before you are allowed to rest. No. Let reality finish speaking. Let the body breathe. Let perception be governed. Let the old interpreter step down from the throne. Because life is not only something to understand, life is something to inhabit.